The BBC is in hot water after cutting and dicing a video to make it look as if Trump said something that he actually didn't. The famous YouTuber Tyler Oliveira is being called a racist and a Nazi over his new documentary about the Indian poop throwing festival. Quite interesting. Riots break out at a Turning Point USA event in Berkeley at University of Berkeley. Big surprise there. And Erika Kirk releases her first full-length interview with Fox News' Jesse Waters following her husband's assassination. All that and more today on the Ocean Rasso Show. So before we begin the show today, I'd like to say thank you to all the veterans who served our nation bravely and boldly, defending faith, family, freedom, and the American values that we hold so dear today. I think that is important as we see so many clips surfacing from BBC and all these other news, which we'll get into later, of veterans saying that they're sorry that they ever fought for these values if they're just going to go away as they have today. I think that we need to continue the fight to save Western values. Because as I've been all across Arizona meeting veterans who served from World War II to the Vietnam War, they all had the same sentiment. It's the fact that we are rapidly losing the very values they fought to ensure would be preserved. So I think that we need to keep all of them in mind when we think about just celebrating what they did for our nation. So I want to say thank you if you're a veteran watching the show. I thank you for your service. Thank you for allowing me to be here today. Now let's get back to the Ocean Rasso Show. The BBC is in a lot of trouble because they have apparently cut and diced a video of President Trump to make it look as if he was saying one thing when he was really saying something else. And for really to understand this issue, you have to understand what the BBC as an organization is. The BBC is almost like the NPR of the UK in that they claim to have no institutional bias, but they really are, and we really all see it. You just need to listen to the BBC for like 5 minutes, and you can see how they slant and twist really any piece of news to fit their narrative. And so I'm honestly quite surprised this didn't come out a long time ago. But President Trump is now suing, or at least threatening to sue, the BBC for $1 billion over a video of him during the 2024 election. Take a look at the video that they put out of President Trump. This is the BBC, and then after is what President Trump actually said. Take a look.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight. We fight like hell. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
So as you can see, this is pretty bad. So bad, in fact, that the CEO of the BBC, Deborah Turnus, resigned, saying, quote, "I stepped down over the weekend because the buck stops with me. But I'd like to make one thing very clear. BBC News is not institutionally biased." Of course. Of course it isn't. The question is, why is it then that President Trump's words are being cut and diced and clipped together with the same background music so that it looks as if he is saying one thing? In fact, if you actually take a look at the original speech, this is from January 6th, the worst day in America's history, they clip a portion of Trump's speech, they fast forward by 50 minutes. 50 minutes, almost an hour. They clip another part and they put the two together. And then they publish it and claim that this is what Trump said.
I would like to say it has been the privilege of my career to serve as the CEO of BBC News and to work with our brilliant team of journalists. I stepped down over the weekend because the buck stops with me. But I'd like to make one thing very clear. BBC News is not institutionally biased. That's why it's the world's most trusted news provider. And if you'll excuse me,
why did you
I would
fail
like
to
to
deal
go
with the
in
mistakes that were made?
and see my teams. Thank you so much.
Right,
for
we're
being
going
here.
in now.
Do you
Thank
think that the journalists
Thank you
are
very much.
corrupt like
Thank you.
President Trump says? Do you think the
Of
journalists
course
are
our
corrupt?
journalists aren't corrupt. Our journalists are hard-working people who strive for impartiality, and I will stand by their journalism.
Is there institutional bias at the BBC?
There is no institutional bias. Mistakes are made, but there's no institutional bias.
But why weren't the mistakes dealt with on Trump, on anti-Semitism, on women's rights?
I'm sure that story will emerge, but for now I'm going to go in and see our team.
Do you think the board acted
Thank you
against
so
you?
much.
Do you think the board acted against you?
This way,
We're
Deborah.
going in.
So as you can see, Turnus probably had the ability to resign before. The BBC is an institution that is biased. They have repeatedly made claims about racism that are factually untrue. They have made claims about elections and polling that are untrue, and now they are cutting and dicing words to make it look like President Trump said one thing when he was really saying something else. Every news organization has at least some bias. There is always going to be some bias when you're looking at anything. But we should expect the least amount of bias to come from the BBC or NPR, institutions that are run and funded by the government. The government is supposed to be blind lady justice, not choosing one side over the other. Yet we are. And when we do it, when we choose one side over the other, we are shutting out half of the population that believes otherwise. And this is a really big problem. So yes, the buck stops here, but it could have stopped a long time ago. And I think that it is fitting that Ms. Turnus resigned from her office. But we really need to address this issue, I think, more and more in our society. Right? I listen to NPR every once in a while, once in a great while. And I can't listen to it for more than 10, 20 minutes because it's so biased. It's so biased. Yet they claim to be institutionally unbiased and that they're just openly showing the news. Yet they'll have, a few leftists on the panel and they'll be ripping up Trump. Yet we don't have any conservatives on the panel. It's just ultimately ridiculous. And I am for the news being the news, but it needs to be, if you are claiming to be unbiased, you need to be unbiased. You need to stand by your word. So good. I think the BBC should be reformed. We should have open and clear news and media. Now let's get to Tyler Oliveira, a gentleman who is he makes documentaries, does documentaries on YouTube, and you probably haven't heard of him unless you're in the niche that he is in, which is just interesting and exciting documentaries about cultures all around the world, but specifically in the US, which is a point that we need to make with this story. It is in the US. He focuses mostly with his work in America or in Western countries. He released a documentary about the Indian Poop Throwing Festival. This is part of the trailer for that documentary. Take a look.
I'm sinking. I'm gonna die today. They're gonna kill me. They're gonna kill me. Spare me. No good. Don't kill me. Spare me. They're sparing me. They're pessimists.
Liberals are absolutely furious. How dare Tyler talk about a culture? How dare he go to another part of the world and investigate why people celebrate what they do? Yet this is the very thing we are told by leftists to do. We are commanded to assimilate with other cultures and to look at the diversity and the beauty of other cultures and understand and comprehend where they come from. Yet when Tyler Oliveira goes out and he goes to India and he gets in his suit, his hazmat suit, because he doesn't want to get dirty, when he gets his microphone out and his camera rolling, he starts interviewing people and asking questions and really goes into the heart of the festival and participates in it, he is called a Nazi, a racist, really every word in the book, to describe someone who does bad and terrible things. This is actually a comment from someone who is deeply offended, take a look. So the white Nazi known as Tyler Oliveira posted the poop-throwing festival in India video. This is sure to inflame already bad online racism against Indians. Is there any way we can cancel him? We have, as a society, taken the route to destruction because we want to just cancel people we don't agree with. We want to silence them. You don't have the right to say what you believe. You don't have the right to speak your mind. Be quiet. We cannot have that as a society and not expect consequences. Okay, Tyler is just going out and interviewing people, talking to people, investigating why they're celebrating this festival. And for that, he is getting slandered and doxxed. This is a post that Tyler made shortly before releasing the video. He claims that he was actually not going to release the video. Take a look. This is a post on X. After much consideration, I decided I will not be releasing my documentary capturing India's poop-throwing festival. I have been doxxed and threatened by thousands of Indians over the past 2 weeks. Tens of thousands of Indians have have turned my life into a living hell. My family has been attacked in ways I could never have imagined. Showing up to this poop festival was the worst decision of my life, and I severely underestimated the power of India. I am only one man. I cannot defeat the combined power of 1.5 billion Indians who yearn for my destruction. This is a great post, by the way. I simply cannot continue to fight this war and must choose my battles. This one simply isn't worth it. I never meant to offend Indians, their religion, or their culture. I just wanted to participate in this unusual poop-throwing festival and share it with the world to see. I ask that all Indians reading this please leave my family alone. Thank you. So Tyler has been doxxed, he's been threatened. Over what? Over going into another culture and showing what they have to offer. You know, I went to Nepal just a few years back for a mission trip with my church, and I realized something there that I saw true in America. It's that we just want to share our culture, right? I didn't go to the Indian Poop Throwing Festival, but I saw that people there just want to share what they have to offer. They want to share their culture and their experiences and what they do with other people. It's a normal human want. It is something that we all want to do, is just share what we have to offer. And that is something the left wanted us to pursue, and all of a sudden when we go and pursue it, we're Nazis and we're racist. And this has to end. And it will, I think, because Tyler posted this shortly after. He said on X, quote, "Psych! India Poop Throwing Festival is now out. Americans do not negotiate with terrorists. You can dox, threaten, harass, or kill me. I will still keep going. I am unstoppable. I will never stop fighting for the truth." Wow. He did it. And I'm glad. Because we are simply allowing him to pursue his freedom of speech. I don't understand why this is such a problem. We as a society need to understand that we are allowed to share each other's cultures. We are allowed to share our opinions of other people's cultures openly and freely. And it's something that we need to keep pursuing. But calling someone a racist isn't going to make any good impact towards your argument, because we've used the word racism so many times. You know, he's a racist, she's a racist. Oh, there's a dog barking. It must be racist. We cannot continue calling things we don't like racist. It doesn't work. We lose the ultimate meaning of the term. Can't keep calling people Nazis. We lose the meaning of the term. I think we need to work on this as a society, because Tyler Oliveira is just going out, making a documentary about another culture, and for that he has been threatened, doxxed, hated. People threaten to take him down online. There's even been calls, in fact, for India as a nation to silence his videos, to ask Google, because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but there's a statistic showing that Google and specifically YouTube are going to become mostly used by India because they have the largest population. That only makes sense. And so there are people saying the Indian government should shut down Tyler, not allow a video to be released in India. I think that's wrong, because we're simply investigating other people's cultures. And ultimately, what's wrong with that? Now let's get to riots at UC Berkeley. Yes, Turning Point held an event there, and this is the scene that unfolded at UC Berkeley. Take a look.
Event. Our Amanda Harry is live on the scene there where protesters also showed up. We've already actually seen at least one fight break out. Amanda.
Yeah, things have been lively here. While that Turning Point USA event is still happening inside, protesters have been out here for hours. You can see them still here behind me. They have been chanting, just a very, very lively scene out here. While things have been mostly peaceful, there have been some tense moments. Earlier this evening, there was a scuffle that broke out where two men started fighting. UC Berkeley police had to break up that interaction. Later, someone was throwing smoke bombs and a car backfired, leading some of the people who were protesting to run away. The protest was put together by students organizing for liberation. Some students say they don't believe UC Berkeley should host a large Turning Point USA event like this one, but other people are happy to be here for the event.
Turning Point USA should not be here, and they are like a fascist organization, and nobody here agrees with what they are saying. And obviously Charlie Kirk has been a big issue with like a lot of college campuses and people on college campuses. So we just think obviously I didn't really follow him a lot, but knowing what he did and knowing the things that he was saying, it's just like vile and disgusting. So we don't want to support his organization, and I don't think that the Berkeley chancellor should have let them come here.
So as you can see, there are these insane riots going on. And I just have to say that this is not free speech. This is violence. This is not peaceful protesting, as they will say it is. This is rioting. And this behavior should not be applauded and celebrated. It should be shut down and called out for what it is, violence. Because while you do have the freedom to speak your mind, you do not have the freedom to start a fight, which happened. 5 people were actually arrested. You don't have the freedom to harm other individuals. Gentleman selling the Freedom shirt, the Charlie Kirk shirt, he was bashed in the head, or at least hurt in the head, as reports are saying. And one gentleman attending the TPUSA event had his cross necklace ripped off. So free speech protects the ability to say what you want, so long as you do not violate somebody else's life, liberty, or property. Yet we're seeing all 3 of these things being threatened. That gentleman was badly injured, threat to life. People were breaking down the barricades, the protesters, taking away the liberty of the attendees to attend the event. They're taking away their property, ripping cross necklaces off, setting piles of freedom shirts, dumping them in muck, and some reports say setting them ablaze. If there's one thing we can take away from this, it's that if they will applaud Charlie's death, where does that show that we are as a society? There used to be a time where if your political opponent was targeted, even injured, we would say, no, the buck stops here, to quote our BBC CEO who resigned. We'd say, this has to stop. We have to resolve our differences. We have to put away our differences for now. Let's care about each other in the human aspect of kindness. Yet we've lost that. Now, if your political opponent is assassinated, it's celebrated and lauded, and we have to go out in the streets and make motions to show what happened. That teacher, by the way, who did in Illinois, she has still not been fired. Still not been fired. And I think that young lady at the end of the clip is right. No one here wants to listen to Charlie Kirk, wants to have TPUSA in a 100-foot radius. Because the event is at UC Berkeley. There are people of differing opinions. Yes, you might not want to hear what Turning Point has to say, but your classmate very well might. Yes, you have the freedom to go and protest an event occurring on your campus, but other people want to get to the event safely and they want to keep their property and not be threatened. Yes, you can go to the street corner and hold up signs if you would like. But no, that freedom does not extend to the ability to hurt other people, to block traffic, to block people from getting in to the event. That freedom does not extend to those actions. You know, I have been to many events before by Turning Point, even just rallies. I see this all the time. Protests have gotten more and more violent. I was just at a protest at an event the other day. I walked down, there was a protest blocking our cars from exiting the venue. When will the madness stop? It has to. Because we can't continue as a society that allows these things to happen. Yes, we need to see the other side's argument, but that doesn't mean that we allow them to riot in the streets, burn down buildings, smash vehicles, set flags ablaze. I don't think the founders fought for the ability of the college students today at UC Berkeley to go out and protest and harm other people. I don't think the founders fought for these college students to have the ability to go and harass attendees at this event. I think that if the founders were here today, they'd be shocked and horrified at what they're seeing. But we also have to look at the flip side. What is the good coming out of all that has happened? We see Bible sales have gone up drastically. Church attendance has risen drastically. Involvement in the parties, the conservative party specifically, the conservative movement has grown drastically. And this was the scene at the UC Berkeley event. Look at the crowd inside to hear the speakers at this Turning Point event. Take a look. That's just incredible. That is really incredible, and it is uplifting, and it gives me hope, because we as a society need to get back to these values. We really do. Well, now the question is, are men allowed in women's spaces? Are men allowed in women's spaces? I'm going to have to think about that. No, there's a biological difference. You know, our society has upheld this belief that men and women are different, that we should treat women they should be able to go into their own spaces. We should treat them with respect, and men in their own spaces. That is the way society has worked for millennia, 2 millennia. And yet we're falling away from this belief rapidly. This is a video of a woman by the name of Tish Hyman, who was kicked out of Gold's Gym for, according to the article, for voicing concerns about a man in a locker room. This is a video of her grilling California State Senator Scott Wiener, who is running for Congress, about the issues of transgender women in women's spaces. Excuse me. Take a look at the clip.
Senator Wiener, as the only black lesbian here, can I please ask you a question, because I flew here to do that? Yeah. Okay. As a lesbian woman who was attacked in the women's locker room at Gold's Gym this week by a self-identifying trans woman with a documented history of domestic violence, I'm deeply concerned about women's safety in female-only spaces. What would you say to women who are seeking assurance that their safety will be protected from men who, by California law, can self-ID as women in women-only spaces, sir? Please tell me.
Yeah, so we want, everyone to be safe, and we also know that, we have trans people, both men and women, who are men and women, and so, so if you're trans women are women.
Senator, you've done great things with the bills you've passed with the housing. I've read a lot of your bills, and like you said, there are bills that need to be opened up, and I'm telling you now, millions of women across America are being harassed and sexually assaulted in locker rooms. I'm a lesbian black woman. I'm not transphobic. I'm not homophobic. And I do respect a lot of the things you've done. But I do see a lot of these bills that you've passed that are dangerous for women and young children. And I understand that you're trying to be on a level playing field. And I'm here to represent my community because I hear a lot of things about my community in these bills. And I'm telling you as a woman, first and foremost, that this is dangerous, and we need your help because you're in the office. You're going to go in the publicity spot. I want to support you. I have millions of people behind me watching this right now, and we want to know: are you going to protect women, not trans women? Trans women are different things. Women. Listen, we need to protect women's safety. I was assaulted. I was assaulted. No, they are not. They are men. I was assaulted by men. He broke his wife's jaw so bad she needed reconstructive surgery. I'm a lesbian. I'm not transphobic, and I'm black. So if there's another black woman in here who wants to tell me how they feel, please join in. But all of you are not. And I don't know who you are or what you are, but I'm a lesbian, and I'm telling you right now, men are harassing women in the locker room.
Let's let him answer the question.
I'm just telling you, Tish, I want to woo.
No, just let's.
Now I'm done. And by the way, I respect what you have done. I just want to let you know that.
Let's give the senator the opportunity.
I'm done.
I appreciate your point of view.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry that you were harassed.
Multiple times.
And I appreciate you talking about it. I think we need to protect the safety of all women. And that obviously that's incredibly important. And I also know that trans women are also brutalized in this country. So women and cisgender women are brutalized in this country, and we have to protect the safety of all women.
We have to protect women. We cannot be raped in the bathrooms by men that want to say they're women. They're not women. They're not women. I'm leaving. It's okay, but I'm not going to take it. I am leaving because you know what? You guys are not protecting women. You're doing a lot. The bills that you're passing for the law, I read a lot of them. They're great. But this things with the trans, it's not right.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. And my name is Tish Hyman. You heard me, sister? All right. Don't let them use our blackness and our civil rights as a reason to pass weird laws for children to transform. It's wrong. My sister's in jail. She can't get free tampons or soap, but she can get free transformation medication. Big Pharma at its best. Tyler.
Yeah, Scott.
Well, things were going so smoothly. Well, let's talk about another uncomfortable moment. When we first started talking in 2008, when Aaron Peskin challenged you for...
Now, this Senator Scott Wiener is someone who has repeatedly called Trump and the administration fascist. This is his own words.
My family escaped fascism in Europe. I never thought the United States would slip into fascism like we're seeing today. San Francisco has always been on the right side of history, standing up for democracy and civil rights even when it's hard. I'm Scott Wiener. I'm running for Congress to defend San Francisco, our values, our people, and the Constitution of the United States with everything I have. Trump and his MAGA extremists don't scare me. They won't stop me or the people of our great city from fighting back and doing what's right.
So in the previous clip of Tish Hyman speaking to the senator, you can see that she was the voice of reason in the argument. Even though she repeatedly claims that she is both non-transphobic, non-homophobic, not only that, but that she's a black lesbian woman, she is still shut down by the senator. You even hear people in the audience, boo, boo, how dare you say that men aren't allowed in women's bathrooms or locker rooms. What is going on? These are officials who are working for the people. This issue is 90-10. 90% of the population thinks men should not be allowed in women's spaces. 10%, maybe even smaller. 99-1. It's ridiculous that we are allowing this small minority to dictate what we all have to conform to. As you can see, she has nothing but compassion for people who are transgender. But we have to draw the line somewhere. We have to protect women, especially young women. And we should pray and help and guide men who believe that they are women and women who believe that they are men. We should help them. But we shouldn't keep feeding the fantasy. We shouldn't keep feeding the fantasy. Well, another fantasy that is ongoing is that socialism works. It really does. We just haven't gotten it right. We need to do it again. It will work this time. I swear, I promise. It will work. Well, we have gotten what we wished for. New York City has elected Zohran Mamdani, but Minneapolis stays safe for another day because Jacob Frey won. He beat out Omar Fateh, the radical socialist Somali candidate who was waving the Somali flag. If you don't remember that, take a look at this video. This is of Omar Fateh waving the Somali flag.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Somalia. Somalia. Hiran State. Ma'awisle. Ma'awisle. Early voting was hadda illa November 4. I need your vote. I need you. Hadan Udkina, hello. We're gonna win.
So as you can see, this is someone who pledges allegiance more so to his parents' nation than to his own, because he is, contrary to popular belief, he is an American. He was not born in Somalia. Yet he is giving more allegiance to this other nation than he is our own. So Frey won. He is by no means a conservative, not even a more moderate candidate. He is still a radical left lunatic who is still pandering toward the socialist Somali groups in Minneapolis. But you're probably asking yourself how it is that he won and beat out Omar Fateh. And that's because of, I kid you not, African tribal disputes. African tribal disputes. Apparently in the Somali culture, there are two groups that are pitted against each other, and one supported Frey and one supported Fateh. The one that supported Frey was bigger than the one that supported Fateh, and so Jacob Frey is the incumbent and will still be the mayor of Minneapolis. But what do the founders say about factions? Oh, that's right, they were afraid of them because factions are large groups that control everything for the people. They are the block of voters that mindlessly make one decision or another. You know, at least with parties, we have multiple candidates. You know, we have multiple opinions inside of a party. Not everybody in the conservative movement's going to think the same. Not everybody in the liberal movement's going to think the same. But with factions, they all think the same. And that's what we're seeing in Minneapolis, where elections are determined by which group of Somali immigrants is larger. And that has to stop. You know, I want to talk about the Hegelian dialectic. This goes right with this story. It's that two things that are opposed to each other are non-compatible. That's what this theory proves. Hegel was a philosopher from around the 1830s, came up with this idea that A plus B equals C, a thesis plus an antithesis equals a synthesis, so the framework plus the opposite of the framework equals a society standard. So if we take the idea of democracy and that is our core value, and we take socialism, the opposite, and we put the two together, we get democratic socialism, we get Omar Fateh and Zohran Mamdani. That is the threat that we're seeing today. It needs to stop because it is threatening to destroy our nation. And what almost destroyed our nation, in the opinions of many liberals, they also blame Trump for it, was the government shutdown. But did it really accomplish anything?
Tonight, 8 Democrats voted with the Republicans to allow them to go forward on this continuing resolution. And to my mind, this was a very, very bad vote. What it does, first of all, is it raises healthcare premiums for over 20 million Americans by doubling, and in some cases tripling or quadrupling. People can't afford that when we are already paying the highest prices in the world for healthcare. Number two, it paves the way for 15 million people to be thrown off of Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act. Studies show that will mean that some 50,000 Americans will die every year unnecessarily. And all of that was done to give $1 trillion in tax breaks to the 1%. As everybody knows, just on Tuesday, we had an election all over this country. And what the election showed is that the American people want us to stand up to Trumpism, to his war against working class people, to his authoritarianism. That is what the American people wanted, but tonight, that is not what happened. So we've got to go forward, do the best that we can to try to protect working class people, to make sure that the United States not only does not throw people off of health care, but ends the absurdity of being the only major country on earth that doesn't guarantee health care to all people. We got a lot of work to do. But to be honest with you, tonight was not a good night.
So as you can see, we went through all that pain of the shutdown just for it to end like that. What happened? Well, 8 senators, we have about 7 Democrats and 1 independent from states like Nevada, Maine, Virginia, decided to vote to reopen the government. You're probably asking yourself why. If you look at all the states where they're from, they are purple states. So while Schumer and Elizabeth Warren are lamenting the fact that we're going to reopen the government, lamenting the fact that their coalition fell apart, they are staying safe in their solid blue states. Right? No one's going to go into New York and uproot Schumer in a general election as a Republican. So they are safe. They are safe with their majority. But in these states like Nevada, very slim minority that elected, that did not elect Sam Brown to the Senate. In Virginia, very slim. Now we're seeing there is a Democratic movement going on there. But Tim Kaine, very slim majority. I think that he'll be able to keep his power. So this bill will now go through the Senate. It will probably pass. It will probably pass the House and it will be signed. The government shutdown will end. But the question for everybody is, what did the shutdown achieve? And for the many Democrats, it was healthcare. Save our healthcare. Healthcare for who? Illegal immigrants? Healthcare is their issue. It's the only issue the Democrats can win on. Because every other issue is a 90-10 issue. Look at transgenderism. 90% of the population is opposed to men and women's spaces. 10% believes that there should be men and women's spaces. DEI, 90% of the population thinks that we should look at merit before race. 10% says vice versa. Look at children's issues. 90% of the population says children should have parents that take care of them. 10% say no, children can go and, young boy can become a girl and vice versa, and we should teach them about race before they can even walk. All of these are 90-10 issues. And the Democrats are in the minority. Healthcare is really the only issue where Democrats have a pretty strong coalition as their majority. And even that is starting to fall apart with the rise of the Maha movement. But I think that if there's one thing we learned from the shutdown, it's that we can't just keep blaming Republicans for every shutdown, because that's who we've blamed for like every shutdown up until this one. We need to look at who's actually responsible. And this is actually a stat. Take a look. Here we go. This was the longest shutdown in history. And what did it achieve? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Well, I want to take a look before we get to the final segment. I want to take a look at my favorite comment. My favorite comment comes from Arthur TX8FD, who says, quote, "The Democrats let the communists into their party." They sure did. They sure did. And when you open the floodgates in your party to whoever's the fringe radical, you can expect some disastrous results. And I hope the Republicans realize this before we go through our own. But yes, I think that this hopefully will wake up the majority of Americans to see that if you're fighting for socialism and communism, ideas that killed like 80 million, 100 million people, that's probably not a good thing to be fighting for. So we'll see how this ends up in the next election in 2026. But before we continue, I'd like to remind you to please subscribe, like, and comment under the video. I want to hear your opinion about the BBC. Is freedom of speech exemplified in the riots at Berkeley? Should men be allowed in women's sports? Is socialism a looming threat to our nation? These are all questions that have to be answered, and I want to know what your opinion is on them. So if you have the time, please go down into the comments, give me all your information, your opinions, your facts, and I'd love to review them. Maybe next month you will be featured on our comment of the month. Now back to the video. So for this last segment, I want to play just a few of my favorite clips from the Erika Kirk interview. And that is how we're going to end the video. I want to speak. I've listened to these clips multiple times. I listened to the whole interview. And I'm playing just the most important. If you want to go, please go to Charlie Kirk's YouTube page, The Charlie Kirk Show, and watch the full interview with Jesse Waters. It is heartbreaking, and it really will change the way you see everything that happened. But please go and take a look at that video. But these are just some of the most important clips I feel like we should all listen to from the video. And before we go, I want to just remind you to keep Erika and the family in prayer, because we have to remember that more than Charlie just being a political figure or a political commentator, he was a husband and a father and a son. We tend to forget this. So please, please, please keep Erika and the family in your prayers. Please. Now let's take a look at some of the most impactful moments from the Erika Kirk interview.
Do you feel safe?
What are they going to threaten me with? Going to heaven sooner to be with my husband? And I don't say that to be reckless. I do not. I do not say that because I'm out in the streets like, here I am, come find me. And it's not at all. It's a fearlessness that's rooted in the understanding that I will have my day and my time, whenever that is. When the Lord knows that I've completed my mission. And I'm not afraid. Charlie wasn't afraid either. We never lived in fear. If we did, we wouldn't get anything done.
The defense wants to ban cameras in the courtroom. How do you feel about that?
There were cameras all over my husband when he was murdered. There have been cameras all over my friends and family mourning. There have been cameras all over me, analyzing my every move, analyzing my every smile, my every tear. We deserve to have cameras in there. Why not be transparent? There's nothing to hide. I know there's not, because I've seen what the case is built on. Let everyone see what true evil is. This is something that could impact a generation and generations to come.
You told your children that Charlie was going on a work trip with Jesus. Are they still asking, where's Daddy?
Yes, my daughter continues to ask, but it's really sweet because I keep explaining to her a few things. And I said, if ever you want to talk to Daddy, you just look up to the sky and start talking to him. He can hear you. It's always in your heart. And I told her, I said, you know, Daddy is in heaven. She goes, do you think I could go sometime? And I said, baby, we will all go one day. We will all go one day. Actually know and hear what was going on, because you're getting phone calls in and out, and hindsight, the way the bullet hit him, he died instantaneously. But I'm so glad he didn't suffer. Excuse me. I'm so glad he didn't suffer. No one deserves to suffer. He blinked and he was with the Lord. It was so...
Thank you for watching the third episode of the Ocean Rasso Show. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and comment your opinion down below. Please be sure to follow me on all social media platforms. Links are in the description. Thanks for watching. God bless you all, and may God bless America.
We're active in about 15 campuses, and we're growing very, very quickly. And keep in mind, this is not just a flash in the pan movement. We're going to become an institution to give them the power and the confidence to stand up and let their voice be heard. I started this organization when I was 18 years old. I decided not to go to college. I didn't get in my dream school, which was the United States Military Academy at West Point. I have this idea to galvanize and motivate the future youth of this country around a core set of ideas, not just political parties or politicians. And the ideas are really America's the greatest country in the history of the world. The Constitution is the greatest political document ever written, and free enterprise is the most assured way to lift people out of poverty and create prosperity for all. Those are the three big ideas. And I think that's something that can win.
We as Christians are called to go into the public arena to correct error with truth. So I go to college campuses and there's a lot of error. We're all sinners. We are all live in error. I'm far more interested in what God wants of me than what I want from God.
I have to say this without getting emotional, but I'm very proud of my husband. And I know many of you are too. You have worked so hard. And I know a lot of you have seen, obviously, his videos on TikTok and all the stuff he does on campus, but no one gets to see him from my angle except for myself and our children. And the sacrifices that he made this year, he's amazing. I'm very blessed.
And I would not have been able to do any of it without Erika. And that's the real truth. I'll tell you what. You are here as a grassroots response to the top-down revolution happening in this country. I want our Turning Point USA students to receive a round of applause. These are the freedom fighters of America.
The media said that Turning Point could never run a ground game. They weren't experienced. They didn't know Charlie, right?
This is the greatest generational realignment since Woodstock. This generation is the most conservative generation that we have seen in well over 50 years, and the numbers show it. What young people especially are screaming at is they say, give me a structure that I can live my life by. And especially with young men, more challenging of them, more saying, you know what, honestly, I'm not gonna talk down to you. Stop being a boy and become a man. You want to learn what that means? Come to church and I'll tell you what it means to become a man. Because we have the greatest story ever told. What can I do to save the country? You answer that question every single day because you are doing the work to save this beautiful republic. You are doing something that is bigger than you.
If everything completely goes away, how do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing. Most important thing is my faith in my life.